Hey everyone, it's Shelby here. Welcome back to A Little Literary Love. I'm glad you're with me today because today I'm going to be doing my monthly wrap up. So I'll be talking about the books that I read in February at the end half of February. I have 9 books to talk about, so I'm hoping that this is not a super long video, but honestly it might because we all know how I like to ramble about the books that I'm reading or get on tangents or because I get very passionate about things sometimes. But it's okay. So before we get into all these books and going through all the books that I read and how I was doing with all my goals, please make sure that you are subscribing to my channel. Hit that thumbs up button if you like this video. I'm trying super hard to get to 1K subscribers. I'm almost to 900. So keep on, share my videos, like them, comment on them. I appreciate everything that you all do to help support me, a small YouTuber. Thank you all. But yeah, so let's get into these books because we might be here a while. I'm sorry. So the first book that I have is Blessed by the Cupid Distribution System by Robin Jo Margaret. This was a paranormal romance novella. This one is about a trans woman. She has autism and it is Valentine's Day and she's very lonely and she's just really wishing to find love, somebody to love her. So then we have our other female main character. She is a Cupid, and she is on her own finally, they're in the Cupid hierarchy, and she is wanting to try to make our other female characters' wish come true. However, our trans character has never actually been intimate with anybody and she's kind of wary. So they decide to kind of practice with each other and somewhat form a relationship of sorts. So this one I gave 3.5 stars. This one was honestly the relationship between the two characters was very cute and sweet. It just didn't really have much of a plot. I think this is blurbed as just a small slice of life little novella. I don't know if that's a me kind of thing. I would rather there be some sort of plot going on. Steam on this is medium. I like the representation in this book. It was okay. Then I read Cupid's Peak by Lee Jacote. Not really sure how to say her last name. This is another novella. This is a contemporary romance novella. This one I ended up picking and reading met one of the diverse baseline prompts for a holiday romance. This one is our female main character goes on a blind date on Valentine's Day, only to find that her date is her high school crush, who has turned into a pro hockey player. And she finds out that he also had a crush on her in high school, and now he's ready to cash in and he wants to be with her. So this one was it was a super fun and steamy read. It featured Truth or Dare in it, and I love books that have Truth or Dare in the story. So I love that. Gave this one 4 stars. Very enjoyable. I need to read some more of her holiday romance novellas. Then I read Too Far by Abby Millsaps. This is the 3rd and final book of the Boys of Lake Chapel series. I read the other 2 books in my prior wrap-up, so I will leave a link in the card somewhere for you to check that out if you want to hear my thoughts on the prior 2 books of this series. This is a Wide Shoes football romance, college romance kind of story. I can't really say too much that happens in this book because it takes place, picks up where the prior books left off. So this is just the conclusion of the series. Honestly, I only gave this one 3 stars. I was really disappointed in this one. I really enjoyed the prior books of this series, mostly because they were very entertaining. They really hooked me and drew me in, made me want to keep reading them and find out what was going to happen next, because there were some potentially little suspenseful things that happen, and there's some things that are happening to potentially keep them all apart, because one of the male characters in this story, his dad is a famous football player and basically wants to market his son and make his son do all these different things and control his life. So, big reason why I didn't like this one, it was because that one character basically became like ostracized and didn't really fit into the dynamic of like this poly group. He was just kind of off by himself while she was forming relationships with the other guys. So it was just, I don't know, it felt off and kind of like he was like the fifth wheel, and I didn't necessarily care for that, which that character really frustrated me anyway from the series. Um, there's also features a third act breakup in this, so minor spoil, sorry. But which I don't really care for when authors do that. It's just a really big pet peeve of mine because I feel like it's used as a plot tool to move the plot along when other things could have happened. I just feel like it's kind of a cop out to do a third act breakup. So I was really disappointed in this one. I am interested in reading her spin-off series. So I'll probably get to that at some point. Then I read Nevermore by Jade Hernandez. This is another novella that I picked up. This was an arc that I received, and this also worked for the Diverse Baseline Challenge for novella. This one is our female main character is a ballerina, and her father is a local politician. The male main character of the story, his family owns a drug empire, so it's kind of that opposites attract, good girl, bad boy type of love story. They end up meeting at a party and they have this like instant falling in love. So this does feature insta lust, insta love. I give this one 4 stars. I thought it was really quick and enjoyable. This is my first book read from Jade Hernandez, and I really want to read more. I have a lot of her stories on my TBR. So I enjoyed her writing. This is definitely like a Romeo and Juliet kind of retelling. So I enjoy that aspect of it, like the forbiddenness. Not the biggest fan of Insta-lust and Insta-love. Insta-love especially, I'm not the biggest fan of, but I did enjoy this and I do want to read more from this author. Then I read Shattered Innocence by Sarah Kate. This is another novella. I read a lot of novellas this month, actually. And this is another arc that I received from Sarah Kate. This is part of the Black Rose Auction series, which is a series of different standalones from different authors, but they all take place at this auction. So we have one of our female main characters, the story Birdie. She is being sold by her stepmother at an auction. And her stepsister, whom she is in love with, plots out a plan to get the stepsister's old flame to bid on Birdie so that they can be safe and that they can run away together and love each other. However, the old flame meets Birdie and decides that he wants Birdie for himself as well. He's also still attracted to the stepsister, who I forgot her name. So this is an FFM story. It's a poly story. It is a Cinderella retelling, and there's also a little bit of that second chance between the two characters, the old flame or whatever. There is BDSM play in this because obviously it's a Sarah Kate book. There's going to be some element of BDSM in it. So I give this one 4 stars. It was really quick, very steamy, exactly what I would expect from a Sarah Kate story, and I really enjoyed it. Then I read The Hells of Notre Dame by R.L. Davenor. I read this for the Sapphic Reading Challenge. This is a paranormal romance, and it is a Hunchback of Notre Dame retelling. This also has a little bit of Phantom of the Opera retelling. However, that did not come into play until a lot later on in the book. This one is about, like I said, a Sapphic. So one of our characters, Claude, she is a deacon of the church, but wants Esmeralda, who is a fire mage, and that is very forbidden. They should not be together. However, after an interaction gone wrong with a soldier, I think he's supposed to be kind of like the police of this time, this area, whatever. Esmeralda's now on the run, and Claude is trying to hide her away. And there has started this war between mages and the church, and they are in the middle of it and trying to fight this war and stay safe. So this one, I gave this 3.5 stars. I was honestly kind of disappointed in this one. It started out really good. It started out really strong. Like, this just sounded like a book that I wanted to read, a sapphic Hunchback of Notre Dame retelling. Like, that just sounds so cool. And I enjoyed for the most part, I enjoyed the writing and the story. However, this was very long. The chapters were very long, and so I found myself getting really bored. The other issue that I had with this story was all the different pronoun changes. So at the very beginning, the author has a little blurb kind of explaining the story. Claude is a gender fluid character and is going through kind of a realization of their gender and how they want to be called. So at like the beginning of the story, she goes by she pronouns, but then also because she's a deacon and when she's in public, sometimes she's mistaken for a guy. So then she's like he pronouns are said towards her. And then later on realizes that they pronouns sound good, that they don't really necessarily agree with either pronoun, but then also still uses she pronouns. So like the author describes this character as like a gender fluid, non-binary character, basically, which is fine. I have no issues with that, especially like that in the beginning, and they're going through this journey of like self-discovery of like who they are. So like transitioning pronouns throughout the story, I would have no problem with. I can understand that. However, my issue with this story was once the character decided I will go by she or they pronouns, when the other Esmeraldas like chapters are there and they are talking about Claude, the author goes back and forth between she and they in the same sentence. It's frequent and numerous. Like, there is not a single sentence that stays with she or they, or it goes back and forth. And it was very jarring and very confusing. And it didn't make any sense to me why they would do that repeatedly, like I said, in the same sentence. Not just like going back and forth in a page or two. It's in same paragraph, multiple sentences, back and forth. She and they, she and they, she and they. And it was just very irritating. And I feel like it kind of felt like poor writing, honestly. I could be wrong. This could be a me thing. So if I am wrong, please feel to call me in on this. But to me, this just felt like the author didn't want to go through and actually edit their book and go through and figure out like the actual pronouns that they were wanting to use. So then they went back at the beginning and were like, oh, they're gender fluid. They're trying to figure themselves out, and was just lazy and didn't want to actually edit their book. That's what it felt like to me. So I will not be continuing with this series just for that simple fact. It was too much. It was too hard for my brain to handle that. So no. No. Moving on. Then I read Puck Shy by Tegan Hunter. This is the first book of the Carolina Comet series. This is a contemporary romance. This is a hockey romance. The two characters of this story, they meet when the male main character's car breaks down and the female main character is driving along the road, and she reluctantly gives him a ride. And they have a great conversation, but he isn't wanting to make it known that he's a hockey player because he has had a bad reputation in the past. He is getting picked up by a new team and he's just wanting things to go smoothly. He also just doesn't like, I don't know, he's just wanting to keep his stardom status secret. Then later on, they end up matching with each other on a dating site, and he still doesn't make it known who he is and that he actually knows her until a little bit later on. So this does feature hidden identity. I gave this one 4 stars. I didn't really care for the hidden identity trope. Is not one of my favorites. I honestly didn't really care for how long he kept it a secret who he was. However, I did really enjoy the banter between these two characters, and overall, this is a really enjoyable story. I would continue on with this series. Then I read Axes and O's by Kayla Gross. This is the first book in the Starlight Haven Lumber Snack series. We are going to get a second book that is going to be coming out, I think, in the summer, and I'm so excited for it. This is an MMF story. One of our male main characters of the story, he is driving home for the holidays to meet his family. He gets stuck in a snowstorm, and this married couple ends up saving him. However, they are snowed in together at this married couple's home. The married couple actually enjoys being polyamorous, and they are wanting a third for their relationship, but things just haven't worked out in the past. But they're both attracted to this newcomer, and they start to they let him know, and then he's just was like, yeah, I'll try this out with you all. And it's very kinky, very sexy, very spicy. I would say this is 70% spice. There's a lot of spice to this, but it actually does have a pretty good plot. I've read one other book from Kayla Gross. I think I read a novella from her that I needed a little bit more plot to it. I feel like this one had just enough plot that I was okay with all the spice in it, and honestly was kind of surprised by how much depth she was able to write into these characters. I really enjoyed this one. I give it 4 stars. I can't wait for the second book to come out, and I need to read some more books from this author because it was so good. I really liked it. And then the last book that I read, we're finally to the last book. I feel like I've been talking for a million years. The last book that I read in February is going to be Howl by Meg Olivian. This is a paranormal romance. I read this for one of my reading challenges. It is also, she is also an author that's going to be, I think she's going to be at Book Harvest, which is a book convention that I'm going to. So this one is a cozy paranormal small town. Our 2 characters, they have been best friends since they were teenagers, and they live in this cozy small town together. But when the female main character, she has a bad breakup, and this causes the male main character to his wolf instincts start to come out. He becomes very protective of her and possessive of her. They each have been attracted to each other, but they haven't wanted to act on anything because they haven't wanted to ruin their friendship. But he also has not let it be known to his friend that he is a werewolf, but his wolf instincts are starting to come out when she has this bad breakup, and he just wants to protect her, and he wants to make her his, and so she finds out some of that stuff, and it was just a super cute story. I gave this one 4 stars. This is very slow burn, very, very, very slow burn, the slowest of slow burns, but I thought these 2 characters were adorable together. I loved how cute they were. He is so sweet towards her and caring towards her. She has anxiety. So he tries to help her out when she's having anxiety attacks, and they're such cute little beans, and I just really enjoyed this one. There is a second book that's going to be coming out in this world. Super excited to read that one as well. That's going to feature a vampire, and I don't know, it was just so sweet and homey and cozy and the perfect vibes, perfect for fall time. So I know I read this in the wrong time, but still really loved it and really enjoyed it. So that is going to be it for this longish video of the books that I read in half of February. So make sure if you like this video, you are hitting that thumbs up button and leave a comment down below with some of the books that you enjoyed reading in February. I love hearing from you all. I love talking with you all. And now you should see some stuff popping up here to either subscribe to my channel or to check out another video for mine. So definitely click one of those. But otherwise, that is going to be it for this video, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye, guys.